Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to set up a complete Flutter development environment on openSUSE Linux. We will go through installing Flutter, configuring the shell environment, setting up Android Studio, and installing the necessary SDK tools. Let's get started. First, let's install Flutter. We will be using the official Flutter SDK, which is a powerful tool kit for building natively compiled applications for mobile, web, and desktop from a single code base. Before doing anything, we have to make sure that our operating system is updated. So open your terminal and be sure that you are root, or you can use sudo. And we go ahead, as we learned before, we run the command cpr distribution upgrade, and we can give it details and maybe allow vendor change and press enter. Okay, perfect. Our operating system doesn't need any upgrade or update. So second thing to do is to make sure that these packages are installed on your system. Okay, and we can use recommends here. The jet, curl, unzip, okay, and xz, and tar, and gtk3, devel, and lib glu1, lib stdc ++6, lib bz2-1, and lib n curses 5. Okay, and hit enter. So only one wasn't installed, so press enter. Perfect. So you have two choices to download Flutter, but before we do that, let's exit the root here. We don't need it anymore. The installation of Flutter and Android, you can do it in a system-wide folder. Like, let's say the system used by many users, you can put the installation under /opt and make sure that they have the required permissions, okay, like creating a group and assign these users in this group to be able to access the folder and to run Flutter and Android Studio. But if you are a single user on your own system, like in my situation here, so I will do the installation as local for my username. So I will create a directory, a folder, and I will call it Flutter _ Android _ dev. Okay, and I will go and change directory to that directory. So now for Flutter, okay, you can go to the website here, flutter.dev, and from the docs tab, and you choose install Flutter, and based on your operating system, and you can go through the steps listed there. So in our case, because here the website detected that I am on Linux already, so current device from the browser, and here you have three options: desktop, Android, web, for what you are going to use Flutter. So recommended Android, because same code base can be used for desktop and web. So let's go for recommended. And here some requirements for the hardware, software. Okay, you can go all the way down through all these steps. Okay, but for me, I will go to GitHub, Flutter source, and I will copy this one and I will go to terminal and I will clone that path to that folder. Okay, so git and clone and paste what we copied, -b for branch stable. Okay, and we have to add this depth 1. Okay, and I hit enter. Now Flutter is going to be the source Flutter downloaded to my folder as we have it here. Okay, so we download the Flutter SDK in my own folder, the one that I created. Okay, so we can say now Flutter is installed. We can configure the shell environment. Okay, but let's delay this step till we download and install the Android Studio, so to do all at once. Okay, but I'm not sure if to do it one by one, but it is better that we do it all together. Okay, so let's go to Android and we download the Android Studio. Okay, and make sure to save it to the one we created, this one. Save it here. Okay, so now it is downloading. It will take few minutes to 10 minutes to get downloaded. So once it's finished, we will be back. So the download finished. Okay, and as we said before, to download Android Studio, you go to this developer.android.com/studio and you go and download the Android Studio. Okay, so now the download finished, and as we said, Android Studio includes all the tools you need for Flutter development. Okay, so let's minimize this and we make sure, yeah, the file is there. To extract this file where we are standing now is using command tar/xzvf and the name of the file and press enter. X for extract, Z for the files with extension .gz, it's a tar but with gz, and V for verbose, and F for file. So what comes next is the file name. Okay, so ls, now we have the Android Studio installed. That's very easy. So now we can delete this file, press enter. So now we have Flutter and Android Studio, both of them are installed. Yeah, they are installed. So the next step is to add the path for these two folders in your initialization file, .bashrc or .profile. If you would like to initialize the path for both of them when you are logging in to your system, whether by GUI or by text mode, terminal, so we can put it in .profile. Okay, so in this case, let's have another terminal and we can go and open, and still we can put it in .bashrc, but let's put it in .profile, so our session system-wide, when you are logged in, it gets loaded, the path variable. Okay, let's go to the end of the file, press O for new line, and here you write export and the word path in capital and equal. Make sure that you have 2 double quotes at the end and at the beginning of the line like that. Okay, so before we add, to not lose your existing path, okay, make sure that you put the variable path, this one, at the end of this one, and the separator here, colon, this one. Now I want to add this. Let's stand here, Flutter pwd, this full path, pen, this full path, I want to add it there, but it is very long. So we take, starting from here, copy. The copy from the terminal is Ctrl+Shift+C. You can do copy. And here you add the variable home. For the people who doesn't know what is going on, I will open a new terminal. We have a shell environment variables that tells my shell where is my home, what is my path. We can show them by this echo home. So when I put this variable there, it will be replaced by the value it content, which is /home/ the username here, penguin. And if we do echo path, this is my existing data or value inside the variable path. Okay, and as you can see here, we put the / at the end and we paste this line. So my path will be initialized with this variable. Again, we do the same for, let's go up, cd space double dot again, and we go Android -studio. We have a bin directory here. Okay, pwd. Again, we want to take this, copy and paste. The copy from the terminal is Ctrl+Shift+C and the paste is Shift+Ctrl+V. We put again the home / paste. Now we have the Android Studio will be loaded in my path. I think we are good to go. So now we have Flutter, we have Android Studio loaded in my path. So we can press escape and then colon WQ and hit enter. Okay, so now we have Flutter and Android will be loaded in my path when I log out and log in again. Some people, they like to do these steps using link or shortcuts, like linking the binaries in the under Flutter to /usr/local or /opt. But this is like an isolated development environment for the user who is using this machine. Okay, so let's log out and see the result. Let's log in again. And when we open the terminal, we put Flutter we can see Flutter auto completion. We can make sure with using command which. Now it is loaded. Okay, and also we can see that we have studio.sh, the script that runs the Android Studio, and you can make sure that it's also loaded. Okay, before I go further, there is one thing we can say here, that you should run Flutter Doctor to make sure that there is nothing missing here. So press enter. So it seems like Flutter is downloading the Dart SDK, and this is the one that we will add again in our path variable when it finished. Okay, let's give it some time. Resolving dependencies. The command finished now that we ran Flutter Doctor to check your environment, and if there is anything missing, it will let you know. Now we can see for people who are going to develop for web application, the browser is missing. Flutter doesn't know where is Flutter. Here Android, because we didn't open Android yet, so Flutter cannot detect where is Flutter on your file system. So for this one, okay, on my system I am using Brave browser, and if I run the command which, it will show me the full path of this. So how to make Flutter detect or acknowledge about my browser on my system, where is it, or where the path to call the browser when I need it. Okay, again, let's open a new terminal by Ctrl+Shift+T from console, and we open profile, and yeah, as I said before, okay, let's do this first. We say export, the variable is Chrome underscore executable, and here for the shell environment, okay, and also for bash scripting. Backquote, anything between backquote, it will be run as a command, like you are in a shell session. So here I will put the same command I put before, which Brave browser. So what will happen here? This variable will be populated by the output of this one. So when I run Flutter Doctor, it will check this variable, okay, and from there can find my full path of the browser. So if I hit escape and I save this file, and we can source it not from this session. If I want to run Flutter Doctor again, we can source it from here. Okay, and we run Flutter Doctor again. Now this error is gone. It's not there anymore. So Flutter is able to find my browser when the need comes to program something for the web. The other variable, or there is one thing also missing for Flutter. Let's go and stand here again, Flutter bin, and this folder, the cache one. We have a folder here called Dart SDK, and bin. You need to add this. Why? Because this is the Dart compiler for the Dart language, which comes with Flutter, the Flutter that use this Dart. So you need also to load this path in your path variable. So pwd, and again you leave your home folder path and you take all this one, copy, Control Shift C, and you open where you are initializing, and we can put it here. Don't forget that the separator here is colon, and again you put home / and you paste this path. So if I go here and I source again, if I did like this, which Dart, this is the Dart comes by default, but the other one is the updated, the latest Dart. So that is the one I want to be loaded. So source dot profile, when I run this one again, now it is here. It is not here yet because we put it second after this one. If we want to use it, let's copy this again to be the effective one. Here I will delete using X, and we put it at the beginning. Yes, the order here is something really important. What comes first will serve you first. Home, okay, / so now because I already put this path at the beginning, my shell will see this Dart first, not the second one. Okay, so make sure to save, and if I source the profile, which Dart, now the new one. So now as an environment for Flutter and Android is complete, but still for the official IDE for Android development, okay, the one that we said that includes all tools you need for Flutter development, still one thing or two things missed. Okay, so after all this installed, we now need to install the Android SDK tools, which are essential for building and testing Flutter apps and Android devices. So I am using KDE Plasma. I don't want to run these from Android Studio from the command line. I want to run it as a graphical app, okay, a GUI app from my menu app. On KDE Plasma, you right click here, you can see edit application, and you can go to this list, development, okay, and you can see here something, add new item. Okay, you press new item, and I will write here Android Studio and hit enter. Now I have this. Now it gives you things to write here, like a description. The most important one here, the path for the program, and you go there to the path, then and you choose the script that runs Android Studio. Open. Okay, you would like to have an icon. Luckily us that Android Studio comes with own icons. You can put SVG or PNG. Better you use SVG. This one I cannot remember the abbreviation for it, but it's a scale image. Okay, so according to your screen size, this image will move with it. Will it change its size? Open. Okay, you can put whatever you like here in the description. Okay, Android Studio is already obvious enough. Okay, so you can add whatever name. Okay, Android Studio development, and make sure to press save, and you can say here sort all by name to make sure that if it's not sorted, save again and exit. Go open your menu, go to development, you will find Android Studio here, press on it. Now it's loading and now it's opened. So this history, I believe it comes from something I did before. The second step here for Android Studio is to make sure that Flutter plugins is installed here. Before that, yeah, we already downloaded. If someone downloaded from some time, you can check for updates here. I can see that few updates here, Flutter plugins, because it was already installed before, but it's already saved in my home folder before in config.config. You can see updates. Let's this one finish, and I will show you from where you can get it. So the plugins here, you go and make sure that you install these two, Dart and Flutter, to be installed. They are plugins for your IDE, Android Studio IDE, to make your life easier while developing using Flutter. So if they are not installed, all you can do, you go here in the search and write Dart. It will show up, and on this side you will find an install. Press hit and Flutter will be Dart will be installed. Same for Flutter. Okay, so now Flutter and Android Studio and their plugins already installed. Okay, so let's move to the last thing, which is also important here, the SDK manager for Android Studio. Okay, here let's close this. Yeah, you go here, okay, more actions, and you can see here SDK manager. But before we go here, let's go to our folder Flutter. We can see and create a directory folder called SDK and hit enter, and then go here SDK manager. You have SDK platforms and SDK tools. By default it comes Android 13 already installed with Android Studio, so I want Android 14. You make sure to check it, and then you go to SDK tools. So you should notice something here while I'm moving around, that's my previous installation. Here you should put the path for the SDK. So let's say edit, and here you choose where to install these SDKs in your home, the folder that we created, and choose it. Okay, next, accept the license, next. So now the SDK tools will be installed on that folder. So let's give it some time, and we will be back when it's finished. Now it's finished. Okay, let's finish this step here. SDK tools. Make sure that you have Android emulator installed, Android SDK platforms tools installed. They are both of them most important. And you can also add CMake. It's a C compiler or make for configuration, and you gonna need it. And also you choose this Android SDK command line tools. Okay, and SDK platforms, yeah, we forgot about this one installation, and we press apply. Okay, accept again the license. Next, it will finish installation. Let's give it a few minutes. Okay, finished. Great. So all good, all set. Okay, so now you have Flutter, Android Studio, and the SDK tools already installed. One last thing to do, again, go to your profile, because here, see, let's go to SDK, and here the tools that we chose is already installed, but some binaries here we needs to be loaded in our path. So again, the first one here is platform tools. Okay, let's cd. I did ls to show you what tools, command line tools coming with SDK. And the same drill, we copy here, Control Shift C, and you might add it here at the beginning, no problem. And make sure that to put the separator, $, home, front slash. We are all good to go. And you can escape here and make sure to save, right quit. Again, source dot profile. If we run Flutter Doctor here, if you guys notice something, that Flutter has no bash completion, but actually Flutter has a bash completion, but it's still not loaded in my environment, in my shell. So yeah, it should complete the word doctor when I press tab twice, and I will show you now how to do it. So here it cannot detect Android yet, so let's open Android Studio and we run this again. Now for here, why Android Studio cannot be detected by Flutter Doctor? Again, Flutter, okay, and we can run help to see all the arguments here and what we can do. So we have here config. It's to configure Flutter settings. Okay, so let's try config, and if I press enter, it will show me a list of some options. I have here Android SDK directory, and this argument for Android Studio directory, where the Android Studio is installed on my system. So let's try the first one, this one, Android Studio, and we give it this, home, Flutter. Okay, the auto completion will not work here, so let's go to it to take a copy, Android Studio, and BWD. You can just copy this one. Okay, and we go here and we paste this. So now I'm giving the Flutter that this is where you can find Android Studio, and press enter, setting value to that, you may need to restart any open editors for them to read new settings. So let's run Flutter Doctor again. Yeah, we have no issues. But if you guys noticed here that we have another argument for Android SDK, it is better to configure it too. So Flutter config and Android SDK $, home, and again let's go up and again SDK, just to take this one copy, okay, and we paste it here. So now it's populated with this variable. Okay, one last info here. I already edited the file, but I have to say it. Flutter should have auto completion. This auto completion comes from an argument called bash completion, and the output is a script. This script should be saved in a file, and make sure this file to be sourced in your initialization file like .bashrc or .profile. So this file we can call it flutter _ bash dash completion. Okay, hit enter and make sure to go to bashrc and add this line source. And also, just in case, because for people who is using Flutter from the command line, I copied these two lines from .profile to .bashrc. So make sure to write. So when I open another terminal and I run Flutter Doctor again, voila, we have no issue. No, because yeah, it is not loaded. Okay, source.bashrc, because it's terminal. Let's do Doctor Android toolchain developed for Android devices SDK, some Android license not accepted. Yeah, this one, see, it gives you the option here, because we added the SDK folder. You can take this copy and paste it here. See, it will download the license. Press yes, 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 okay, yes. Now all SDK license accepted. So if you run Flutter Doctor, perfect, it's all good to go, and you can start coding and do Flutter development. No one can stop you now. And that's it. Now you have a fully functional Flutter development environment on openSUSE Linux, complete with Android Studio and the necessary SDK tools. You are ready to start building amazing apps. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more openSUSE and Linux content, and hit the bell icon to get notified about my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and happy coding. Subscribe, like, and share.